must be brought to justice through credible.
Hamas calls on the international community to stop Israel's hunger war in Gaza, citing worsening humanitarian conditions. This came after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced a more intensive offensive against Hamas in Gaza, approved by the Security Cabinet, potentially involving a full seizure of the enclave and tighter control over aid. The operation will be delayed until the US President Donald Trump's Middle East visit, which aims to move civilians south and prevent aid from reaching Hamas. Israeli troops already control a third of Gaza, and new plans could transfer aid distribution to private firms. Amid warnings of famine, protests are growing in Israel for a hostage deal. The military is calling up reservists, and Israel may act if no agreement is reached during Trump's visit. Hamas rejected the plan and demanded a full ceasefire and Israeli withdrawal and release of all prisoners from both sides. With over 52,000 Palestinians killed since October the 7th and 59 hostages still held, Israel faces mounting domestic and international pressure, even as it prepares for a potential broader regional conflict. Listen in to what the Israeli army spokesman, Efi Dafrin, has to say.
יש לנו תוכנית סדורה. אנחנו מתקדמים ועוברים לשלב חדש ועצים יותר. המבצע יכלול מתקפה רחבה, הכוללת הנאה של מרבית אוכלוסיית הרצועה. זאת על מנת להגן עליה באזור סטרילי מחמאס.
Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says he is alarmed by Israel's plan to expand its Gaza offensive, warning it will cause more civilian deaths and destruction. His spokesman stressed Gaza must remain part of any future Palestinian state. Meanwhile, President Trump reaffirmed the US commitment to delivering food aid to Palestinians in Gaza when questioned about Israel's planned expanded offensive, but did not comment on the military operation. Speaking briefly to reporters at the White House, let's listen in to what Trump said.
We're going to help the people of Gaza get some food. People are starving, and we're going to help them get some food. A lot of people are making it very, very bad. If you look, Hamas is making it impossible because they're taking everything that's brought in. But we're going to help the people of Gaza because they're being treated very badly by Hamas. Thank you very much.
We are now joined by Nasser Mashni, president of the Australian Palestine Advocacy Network, located in Melbourne, Australia. Thank you very much, Nasser, for joining us on this issue. I wanted to start off with some breaking news coming in now. France's foreign minister, France's top diplomat, has strongly condemned this new military campaign in Gaza. Before I ask your questions on the military operation itself, I want to ask, do you think this will be not the first international outspokenness against this campaign?
Condemnation. Israel's not listening. I mean, you just spoke about earlier in your report about Israel waiting for Donald Trump to finish his tour so as they don't, spoil his quote-unquote party. It's beyond the time for words. It's time for action, international aid, international intervention, military intervention. We saw what the West was able to do in Kosovo. We know what the West is able to do illegally, as it did in Iraq and Libya and so many other places. It's time legally to go into Gaza and help the Palestinians. And I know we're talking about this in some sort of academic space, but this is about human beings. 2 million people. It's not a food war. This is a deliberate starvation of a captive population. This is beyond inhumane. Everyone should be jumping up and down and screaming for this to stop.
Yes, and Nasser, I just wanted to talk about, obviously, 59 hostages are still held in Gaza, and protests are also growing in the Israeli capital. How do you think the government is balancing this public pressure versus a deal for military escalation now?
Israel's got no interest in the hostages, let's be categoric, and I think it's time for reporters like yourself to stop using this as a canard. Israel is not interested in its hostages. Israel is only interested in all of Palestinian land with no Palestinians in it. We need to be talking about the 2 million Palestinian hostages that are being deliberately starved. There are tens, hundreds, perhaps even a few thousand people demonstrating against Benjamin Netanyahu. But this psychotic, far-right, racist cabinet overnight approved this escalation in military plans, approved the voluntary immigration plan to fit into Donald Trump's Riviera of the Middle East. I mean, we need to move past this Israeli narrative and Israeli talking points. We need to be talking about the humanity. Every one of us needs to be screaming out. We're all looking into a mirror now. We are all looking into a mirror. What we are doing now is what we would have done during the Holocaust. If you are silent today, you would have been silent when 6 million Jews were exterminated. It's time for the entire world to step up and demand more of their governments. This government, this Israeli government, needs to be boycotted, divested and sanctioned. An immediate emergency military intervention has to be applied from the UN down. The US has to stop supplying weapons. The UK has to stop doing spy missions over Palestine, Israel. The Maltese government, which has deported activists from the Freedom Flotilla back to Turkey. The whole world needs to step up and save these Palestinian hostages. No more talk of Israeli hostages. Israel's not interested in saving them.
Yes, and obviously we want to talk about the potential for a ceasefire as well. Hamas, the group that governs Gaza, also designated as a terrorist group by many countries around the world, is demanding a full ceasefire, a full Israeli withdrawal and full prisoner exchanges, including hostages for Palestinian prisoners. Is there any room left for negotiation, or is that window closed, do you now think, Nasser?
Well, we had a ceasefire. Israel was the one that broke that ceasefire unilaterally. And we should be very clear. Most of the world doesn't think of Hamas as terrorist organizations, only the West. It's reporters like yourself that continue to parrot this. Palestinians have a right to resist the illegal occupation of their lands. It's enshrined in international law. If I was to come and take your home, domestic law in the UK, India, everywhere, would say you'd have a right to kick me out. Palestinians have a right to resist, number one. Number two, Israel, again, is not interested in a ceasefire. What they want is all of that land. The extremist ministers that are extreme, even to Benjamin Netanyahu, who is beyond imagining how evil this man is. There are ministers even more evil than him that are very categoric that any ceasefire will bring down that coalition government. And as soon as that government collapses, Benjamin Netanyahu will face criminal charges because he won't be protected as the prime minister of the country. He's got no interest in ending this war, and he won't be ending this war. It needs to be ended externally from the West, stopping its support and enabling the genocide that's happening and the purposeful starvation of 2 million people, 2 million Palestinian hostages. That's what I'd like your listeners and watchers to understand, and for yourself to start speaking to when you have an Israeli apologist on, to challenge them on the 2 million Palestinian hostages, let alone the 10,000 Palestinians in the Israeli gulag system.
Yes. Nasser Mashni, thank you very much for joining us on the program and for your insight. We stay in the Middle East. On Monday, massive fires broke out